Of all the factors that you consider for selecting an ERP, this one factor that I'm going to talk to you determines how long you are going to be associated with an ERP or how long you're going to be using an ERP. Yes, I am talking about scalability. If you guys have got it right, congratulations. And if you have not, absolutely no worries, because this video is all about scalability and you will learn about ERP scalability like a pro. Hi, my name is Raman and I am from ERP Doctor. In my experience of working with more than 500 plus companies in selecting an ERP, implementing it, and supporting and maintaining an ERP, we have considered scalability as one key factor which determines how long and how successfully you get to use an ERP. Before I get into the subject of scalability, I would want to narrate a simple example which aligns with scalability. Now, the example is going to be very simple and explained in a very layman's language, and I insist that the example is well heard because it has a lot of correlation with scalability that I'm going to explain. The example is meticulously made simple so that you can associate the example with the complex scalability issues. Let's consider a child and its urge to move around. So when the child is an infant and young and it basically prefers to move around, so it looks for something which can help it to cover more distance and basically go to multiple places. So basically the family or parent decide to get the child a tricycle. A tricycle is a very stable option, very safe. The child basically gets onto it. Since it has 3 wheels, there are very less opportunities that it will fall down, and the child very quickly learns how to use the tricycle, and it's on the top of the world. It can go places in and around the house, it can move, and it feels happy. Now, it's time for the child to grow up, so it grows to the next stage, and the child finds that it's difficult for it to pedal a tricycle. And that's because since it has grown up, it finds it difficult in pedaling, the ankles hurt, the legs hurt, and so forth. Now, the child has much larger aspirations. It wants to go faster, it wants to move a longer distance, which definitely cannot be done by a tricycle. So, the child gets a bicycle. Now, the experience of a bicycle is totally different from that of a tricycle because the child has to learn how to balance it. In an attempt of balancing the cycle, the child goes to a lot of difficulties. It falls down, it needs somebody to hold it when they are learning, and so on. And finally, when the child figures out how to balance it, there's no stopping. The child is on top of the world. It is able to cover a larger distance at a much faster speed, and that's exactly what the child needed. Now, in the further process of growing up, whenever there is some minor modifications required, like the child has grown in its height, then basically it can adjust its seat so that it can become a taller seat and the child can drive comfortably, but there's no change in cycle. But the child further grows up, and there comes a point where the current bicycle is of no use in terms of the aspirations of the child to cover a larger distance and speed. Then what happens is the child looks for a larger bicycle, which is an adult bicycle. Now here, the child doesn't spend much time in balancing act or in learning how to drive a bicycle, but it straight away gets on to the larger cycle and starts driving much faster and starts covering much larger distance. Now, this is one more phase in the life of the cycle and the child. Let's say the child further grows and becomes a full-fledged man. Now here, as a man, the man has larger aspirations right now, and the cycle definitely cannot meet its demand, so the man gets what's called as a motorcycle. Now, the experience of riding a motorcycle is completely different from that of a bicycle because it has got a motor attached to it, it has got an accelerator, and to control the speed, it has got brakes, and a lot of new things which come into it. Plus, there is also law and compliance of getting licenses. So it's a different act now. Now, once the man knows how to use the motorcycle, there are no boundaries. Once again, greater aspirations achieved, greater distance covered, greater speed achieved. Now, let me help you correlate this child and cycle example to that of scalability. When I was mentioning about the tricycle, the child in the example is basically your business, and the cycle is the ERP application. Now, when I was talking about the tricycle and a young child, I was basically talking about a young business or a small business, and the tricycle basically meant a small size ERP application, or what is called as a basic ERP application. Most of the basic ERP application, like a tricycle, is stable and has got all the basic features available in it. The business very quickly learns how to handle it. When I was talking about the bicycle in the example, that basically is a mid-market application, and the child, which is your business, has grown much larger at this point of time. Now, when the child moves from a tricycle to a bicycle, as I told you, it goes through a lot of hardship and pain because it falls down, it needs someone to guide and someone to hold. The same thing happens when business moves from a small or a basic ERP solution to a mid-sized, mid-market ERP solution. Now, once the child learns the balancing act, which is once the business learns how to manage the mid-market ERP solution, then definitely it does a great job, or the ERP solution helps the business in great ways. Now, in the example, I was talking about the child becoming taller and seat adjustments being made. Now, mid-market ERP solutions do definitely have a lot of options wherein adjustments and fine-tunings can be made without changing the ERP application. But this is all to a certain extent. Once the business further grows, as said in the example, the child further grows, it needs a full-fledged or an adult bicycle. And that's what is a larger ERP application. Now, a larger ERP application can also support a business only to a certain extent. When a business grows to an enterprise level, and that's exactly what I was mentioning, like the adult becomes a man there, it needs a motorcycle. That's when we are talking about a business becoming an enterprise level business, and it requires an enterprise level ERP application. Now, in the example, we spoke about the complications of moving from a bicycle to a motorcycle, wherein there were compliances, licensing, there was a new engine, you have accelerator, you have brakes, and stuff like that. So that's a complete different experience of moving from a bicycle to a motorcycle. And similarly, companies do face a completely different experience from moving from a larger ERP solution to an enterprise level ERP solution. Now, in the example, as the child grew, a tricycle became a bicycle and a bicycle became a motorcycle. Now, this process of cycles evolution is basically what we call as scalability in an ERP application. So you can see in the example that there is no one single solution or a cycle which is available to the child which it can use throughout its growth stage. Meaning to say, a child requires a tricycle when it is small, and a bicycle when it is grown up, and a motorcycle when it has become a man. Now, you can't expect a child to have a motorcycle when it was very small. At the same time, you can't expect the child to continue with a tricycle or with a bicycle when it has grown into a man. So that also applies to the ERP application. Having said that, a tricycle cannot scale into a motorcycle. It has got its limitations. Similarly, an ERP application, which is a small ERP application or a mid-size ERP application, cannot scale into an enterprise level ERP application. So businesses do have to plan for different ERP applications at different point of growth in their business cycle. But within the ERP applications, they will have to ensure that there is enough scalability available. Now, having said that, within the various sizes of the ERP application, the scalability has to be ensured. So there should be enough scalability planned in the basic ERP application. There should be enough scalability planned in the mid-size or large ERP application, and there should be enough scalability planned in the enterprise level application. So summarizing once again, you cannot expect an ERP application to scale all the way from a small size ERP application to an enterprise level ERP application. Now, some of the common mistakes that business do is they buy a basic level ERP application and they try to continue it even when they grow into much larger business operations. Now, in an attempt to do so, business find that ERP applications do not support their growth. On the other way around, mid and small size businesses do buy enterprise level ERP solution and thus struggle managing such an ERP solution because enterprise level ERP solution was never built for them. And so once again they have the same problem. The enterprise level ERP solution does not help in their business growth. Rather, they spend a lot of money and resources in maintaining an enterprise level ERP solution, whereas what they wanted was a mid-market or a large ERP solution. Hope the example that I provided gave you the insight on how to choose your ERP solution and take care of the scalability aspect in that particular ERP solution. In a world of people where scalability is advised at a very macro level or at a very surface level, hope this particular video has given you in-depth insight of what are the different type of scalabilities that you will have to consider when finalizing an ERP solution. Thanks once again, and look forward to meeting you in one more video on ERP.